Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to PwC's Risk and Regulation News Channel. Today, we would like to finalize our recordings about the EBA SSM Stress Test 2025. It's already 2 months ago that we recorded our last episode where we covered all the topics that are relevant for the ECB stress test. And today we would like to summarize again a little bit the challenges. And of course, we want to give you an update about the final methodology of the EBA regarding the stress test 2025. And like always, I'm not doing that alone. I have again a colleague here with me. Stefan.
Hey Martin, hey everyone. Nice to be here today and talk to you about the latest update from the EBA on the stress testing exercise.
Stefan, on the 12th of November, the EBA published their final methodology. If you look to the document, what is your judgment? Were there big differences or changes regarding the draft methodology, or is it more a minor change?
Well, we've all witnessed the stress test a couple of times, and we all know there are never huge changes between the draft and final methodology. Some smaller changes are noteworthy, and the EBA used the opportunity to not only publish final methodology and templates, but also provide a bit more details on the proposed timeline for next year, which was particularly important given the fact that all the banks had asked for more time to produce CRR3 compliant numbers.
Yeah, mentioning the timeline, and as you said, it's definitely the biggest challenge always. That's why the stress test is so stressful. Stefan, maybe you can give us a quick overview. When does the exercise officially start and when will it end?
Well, start date and end date are very much aligned to previous exercises. So we expect the whole thing to kick off in January with the publication of the macroeconomic scenario. And as always, the whole exercise will end in the summer with the publication of the results on a bank-by-bank basis. What is interesting is the dates for the submission of stressed information to the supervisors. And here the EBA did indeed move the date backwards to April rather than March, given the banks a bit more time. However, you need to be careful here. This is only the time when the information is submitted to EBA. What is more important for banks is when to submit the information to the ECB. And here we have no information yet, which is why we put on this year's slide the dates from the last exercise when the ECB expected banks to provide a first ADC in early March and a first FDC late in March, and we will just need to wait and see whether the ECB will move these dates backwards as well this year.
So all in all, Stefan, a small relief. So a little bit the EBA listened to the feedback of the banks that the timeline, this time in particular is too tight because of the changes in the CRR, but not a big relief.
Right.
Right. When we look to the rest of the document, especially to the risk types, maybe starting, of course, with credit risk, what are there the biggest changes, if there are any?
Yeah, there is indeed one change compared to the draft version, and that is the removal of the COVID-19 template, which I guess has seen its best days and was basically expected that it would be removed. Apart from that, no bigger changes are to be noticed, so we still face the major challenge of including CRR3 compliant numbers, and not only as of year-end 2024, but also as of beginning of 2024, as well as the flows that happen within 2024, which need to be presented both according to the old CRR2 and the new CRR3 methodology. And this will be a major challenge for banks because this needs to be sent to the supervisor long before the first reporting due date in summer. And this will also be quite challenging, I believe, for the Q&A process of the ECB, how they will look at these numbers to make sense of them.
Yeah, maybe digging a little bit deeper into this topic about the CRR. I mean, we had a lot of meetings with clients, visiting a lot of conferences, discussing there with clients about the major challenges. And of course, CRR3 is the biggest challenge. We don't have to discuss that anymore. There were some banks that simply answered to me in discussions that they will not follow this guideline and they will use CRR2 figures. Is that really an option?
That is certainly no option. And we are not only saying so because we want to sell you some consulting projects. We really, really expect that the ECB will not be arguing with banks about that. The methodology is clear, the templates are clear. Banks need to comply with the CRR3 rules in the EBA stress testing exercise. This is nothing that is mandatory, and I would strongly recommend that banks do not try and simply ignore that requirement, but try their best to adhere to it.
Yeah, I mean, in several discussions and also in the projects that we are doing right now with the banks, it's simply the situation that the banks are not able to calculate in detail the RWA according to CR3. So proxies and assumptions have to be made. Maybe, Stefan, you can give an example about possibilities where you can use proxies or make assumptions, and if it's feasible, actually, would the ECB accept these kind of proxies or assumptions?
Yeah, there is a couple of very good examples for this, because CRR3 and in particular the revised standardized approach for credit risk rely a lot on new data that needs to be collected on a position by position level. So this is nothing that comes out of an existing data warehouse, but in the end will need to be determined looking at each individual loan, and that of course takes time. So using proxies may be a way here, but once again, we would caution you. We are quite certain the ECB will, as part of the quality assurance phase, look at the way that these proxies are being derived. So when you make up, for example, a small sample to determine the amount of income producing real estate versus non-income producing real estate, that may be a way forward, but then you need to make sure that the sample is really representative of the whole population, because the ECB will certainly try and question the approach to deriving that sample.
Yeah, the Q&A process will be definitely a very intense process this time, for sure. Yeah, maybe moving to another topic. Let's go through all the risk types that are relevant for the stress test. Market risk, Stefan. Any news there?
No really major changes as compared to the draft methodology. What we've seen in the draft methodology, and which is also present in the final one, is of course the increased proportionality. Dividing banks into 3 different buckets, which have different degrees of complexity and reporting requirements. Of course, we see here the FRTB framework. Even though it was postponed by 1 year, it's still relevant, at least in parts, also for the stress testing exercise. And the same goes, of course, also for the revised approaches to calculate CVA risk, which also need to be in place already for the stress testing exercise.
Yeah, thank you very much, Stefan. Small changes, but still challenges for the bank. When we look now to the NII, what about that challenge?
Yeah, NII has been and will be a big challenge for most banks ever since the exercise was devised back in 2014. What we see here, and once again, this is nothing that is new in the final version of the methodology, is the move to a more top-down approach, with the ECB using their own tools to calculate stressed net interest income. The program code for that tool has been shared with the banks, and it will still be quite interesting to see how much granularity the ECB will allow the banks to look at when discussing the results as part of the quality assurance phase.
Yeah, that makes data quality also again much more important, as we discussed in our previous channel chapters, because if you don't have a good data quality that goes to the ECB and they use it with their tool, then of course not a good quality or not the desired results will come out. So we definitely would advise all our clients to redevelop the tool of the ECB in parallel and test the data by using the tool. And if you were not able yet to develop the tool on your own based on the code published by the EBA, I would recommend you to contact us. We have developed the tools. We made several analyses regarding that, also the sensitivities. So please reach out to us, and then we can see how we can help you. Yeah, Stefan, there are 2 further topics that have to be mentioned: op risk and any other risks. Is there anything that is worth to mention?
Nothing noteworthy in my opinion. Here the major changes were introduced with the draft methodology, so feel free to watch our prior episodes when we discuss these in more detail.
Okay, great. Stefan, thank you very much. As always, it was great to hear from you. What are the biggest changes regarding the methodology based on the first draft version and then the final methodology. Not really big changes, small reliefs regarding the time plan, but also no really big steps. So it still will be a big challenge for the banks in Europe to calculate the stress test 2025. If you have any further questions or if you need any kind of support, please reach out to us both, but also any contact person of the EBA SSM office of PwC. We are more than happy to support you. So thank you very much, and thank you very much for your attention. See you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.